Hello, everybody, and welcome to Where's the Line, where we explore the gray areas of life. Jane, can you believe it? It's the last episode of season 2.
I know. It's so crazy.
Wild. We've come a long way. We had a lot
Mhm.
of amazing guests this season, and we are so grateful to have both friends and colleagues and people within our network who were really vulnerable and open up with us this season.
Mhm.
So yeah, we hope that you, our audience, like this season as well as much as we did. And if you like the topics, just a friendly reminder to give us a 5-star review on whatever platform you're listening. We're live on Apple, on Spotify, and Google Podcasts. And thank you to those that already gave us a review. It means the world. So thank you so much. And of course, please email us with any other topic ideas. Alrighty, well, today it's just you and me. And I feel like we talked about a lot of serious topics this season. So
Mhm.
today, I think it's a great point in time to close out with a little bit, or with something a little bit more fun and casual. What do you think?
Mhm. I'm really excited about this. This is such a silly little idea that I came up with, but for our audience who don't know much about the Reddit world, there is a subreddit called "Am I the A-hole?" But essentially, the definition is a catharsis for the frustrated moral philosopher in all of us, and a place to finally find out if you were wrong in an argument that's been bothering you. Tell us about any non-violent conflicts you've experienced, give us both sides of the story, and find out if you are right or if you are the a-hole. So essentially, well, first of all, when I told Sabrina about this topic, she had no idea what to even do or think about it. But essentially, it is a Reddit where people are bringing in their stories of situations that, very similar to our topic, doesn't have a right or wrong. It really is very dependent on the situation itself. They provide some context and they essentially ask the community what people think about it. And some topics were very polarizing, where there's a lot of people fighting about whether or not this person is in the right or the wrong. Some are very clear that this person was just not a good person. So we picked out a handful for today so that we can close out the season in a fun, more silly and petty way. So we have a couple topics, and Sabrina, maybe I can start off with the first one here.
Perfect. Let's do it.
All right. So the title is called "Am I an A-hole for not wanting to change my first dance song because of my stepsister's association with it?" Okay, here's the context. Pretty much what the title says, so I'm going to keep it quick. We've chosen our first dance song. My stepsister is not happy at all because she and her ex-husband also had this at their wedding, and she said she had a lot of memories with this particular song. She asked if I could change it. I told her I get it, but this is what we want and I don't want to change it. She says she understood, but she has been acting different around me, and I could tell she was mad or upset. Most people who know about this don't think I am doing anything wrong, but I had my sister and one of my friends tell me that I'm being selfish and not understanding. Am I the a-hole? Some people are asking for additional information in the comments, so she provided a little bit more information. She said a few months after they got married, so the stepsister, so after they got married, he was in a wreck. He thankfully survived, but has a very severe TBI, among other things. He lives in a specialized nursing home. They did get divorced, but my sister still goes on about how she loves him and visits him occasionally. He doesn't remember who she is most of the time, but my sister said she apparently sang this song to him, and he, quote, looks like he remembers her. This is her words. Uh, my sister sees it as their song. So this is the song from the movie Moulin Rouge. My sister sees it as, quote unquote, their song. She and her ex met at the movies when they both went to go watch this. Then apparently at the restaurant they went to for their first date, it was also playing the song. So they took it as a sign. And as I said, they also played it at their wedding. She sings it to him sometimes now. I think it's a really nice song. I like to play it too for my wedding. I don't feel like I have to change it. So, Sabrina, what do you think about it?
Yes. So initially I had some very strong reactions, but trying to be more diplomatic about it. I'm a firm believer that while you should, of course, always feel comfortable to express certain things to your friends and see how they react. But in this case, I really believe that the girl who's getting married is not selfish for continuing to push the song for her wedding. I feel like it's her wedding. And even though, yes, this song has caused some hardship and some memories for this other girl, it's at the end of the day, we're talking about music and we're talking about the girl's special day, right? And there can be so many different memories that are triggered by certain music, and I think we've all been there, right? I think I brought up the example of my dad. If my dad, like if his favorite song, if you chose to play his favorite song, my dad who passed away, at your wedding, like who am I to say you can't do that? So anyway, usually I'm like, don't be too selfish, but in this case, I think it's not selfish of her. It's just,
Yeah.
Actually, I did have a question though, Jane. So is it just that one song that she picked, or are there other songs in the menu?
In the menu. I don't know. I think honestly, I'm really, really torn about it because, and I was telling you, like, I feel like it's easier for me when I was thinking about my wedding. Obviously, this did not happen to me. I did not have to change a song, but if this were to come up, it would maybe be a little bit easier because I feel like me and my husband had like 3 songs that we were choosing from. And it wasn't like one particular song had like the most important meaning, or that was the song that was playing at blah, blah, blah situation. So honestly, that's my question is like, number one, to your point, are there multiple songs that this person who's getting married is selecting from? Because if there is, then that clearly means that it was not like the most meaningful thing. Like obviously it's very important because they want that song to be their wedding song, but it's like triggering for your sibling. Like this person is that person's sibling. And I will say, I like the fact that her sister she was being very understanding. She was being very communicative, and she was like setting maybe not even boundaries, right? Because when she said she wants to keep the song, her sister was like, oh, okay, I understand. Like her sister is being very understanding. And I almost feel like this person, if you have any other option, you should probably just choose the other song. Like in her description, she was like, oh, it's a really nice, she literally wrote, she said, I think it's a really nice song and I like to play it too.
Yeah,
That
that
doesn't
doesn't sound
sound
like.
like it's like the most important song for you.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I want to double down on that maybe because, right, if there's not like, what's the level of meaning to the
Right.
girl that's getting married? I agree. If it's like, oh, this song or that song, I don't really have a strong preference, fine. But what if this song is so meaningful to this couple? And then I just also think, who knows, like maybe a different song will trigger the
Somebody
mom
else.
or someone else. So at what point, like who's to say who's more important than another person?
But I think your example of like, let's say your dad, who's really meaningful for you, loves this song. And so that song became really important to you. Who are you to tell another person to not play a particular song because just because that song's really important to you, right? So like I yeah, I think it's tough because like this person is being very understanding. Like holistically, it doesn't sound like, I mean, that person is mad, clearly. Like she was saying the person's acting different and that person is mad, or the sister is mad and upset. But
Yeah.
I'm trying to think like, what if I'm like the sister? Right? Like how sad is that? Because obviously a wedding is like this happy thing. and you want to be
Yeah.
happy for this couple or for your sister and her husband to get married. So if I'm the stepsister and I'd be at this wedding and I'm like sad when they're dancing.
Yes, but also we're talking 3 minutes out of what? How
True.
long was your wedding? So come on. Sorry, now I'm getting into it. But I do think my dad's example is relevant, because if I imagine like that song, to me, I still can't listen to it. So the first time in 3 years, it actually was played randomly when I was home in Germany over the break.
Mm,
And I just started bawling. So knowing if you
mm,
played the song on your wedding, yeah, I would be really sad, but I would also see the happiness in your face. And I think
mm.
we're all adults. We should be able to separate the two.
And maybe it gives, well, I don't know. I'm trying to be optimistic. Maybe it gives a new meaning to that song, right? Because like if you think about it, like maybe it's creating a happy memory now associated with that song. Or maybe the stepsister, or the next time like the stepsister hears that song, she obviously thinks of her husband because that is the most important person for her. But she can also remember that like her sister and her new husband also just danced to the song, and it like created this other association, right? Like
Yes,
that could
I
be
love that
good.
reframing. That's
Yeah.
a beautiful point. Yeah, I'm.
I don't know. I think this is one of those tough things where I 100% agree with you. I think ultimately she probably should just keep that song, knowing that her sister is trying to be understanding. And of course, it
Yeah,
will create some friction. But my question is, how many songs are you choosing from?
right.
How important is the song actually to you? Because if you can be thoughtful to your sister,
Yeah.
great. But if this song is the most important song for you and you have to keep the song, then maybe talk to your sister and see if you can reframe it for her. See if, like you can help her understand the situation. And
Mhm.
it is your wedding ultimately. Like to your point, it's 3
Exactly.
minutes. So
Yeah, but
yeah,
to what you said, communication is key, right? So making your sister feel heard, like, yes, I hear
right.
you, etc. But this is where I'm coming from, and then mentioning how, yeah, this has a lot of meaning for us. We don't really have another song, etc. So I think that's the
Yeah.
right approach.
I
But
think we
again, there's no
solved
right or
it.
wrong, really.
We solved her problem.
Yeah.
We figured it out.
Oh, nice. All right. Perfect. Okay, well, next up, we're talking about Valentine's gift, or am I the a-hole for not appreciating my Valentine's gift? So
Mhm.
quick context, this person who wrote the Reddit, her and her husband were part of this friends group that it was about 5 families, and they all have some toddlers. And so the day Valentine's Day fell on a Tuesday, and it was agreed upon that all they were going to do with flowers, and then she made her husband some pancakes, and that was going to be it. But then at 7:30, her husband tells her that he's out to help the neighbor to run an errand, and he'll be back shortly. And then at 9 p.m., she hears music outside of her front door, and she opens the door, and the husband and the other dads are giving her a serenade, which, okay, cute. The kid loved it. And then they told me that she was the last one of all the wives. So she thought, okay, cool, husband, come in, like, let's make dinner. But then all the other wives arrived with the kids, and everyone's getting in their house. The kids started spraying orange juice on the floor. There's chips everywhere, toys everywhere. Gosh, she feels like she's in a horror movie. Yep, I can see that. And she had just cleaned the house. So she thought she was finally feeling some peace, and then this happened. So she wasn't prepared to see people. She was in like pajamas, etc. So they leave, and then it's past the kid's bedtime. The house is flipped upside down, so she's very furious, and he gets pissed at her and telling her, well, I had a gift at least, and he got nothing from her, and he was just trying to make something nice. So in other words, she told him that, well, if he was going to make something like that, she would rather not have anything.
Mhm.
So he got really mad, and Yep. So that was all in all. So is she the a-hole? Is she a real bitch about this? What do you reckon?
Oh, I I feel bad for the husband, but I think the wife is in the right. Like, I'd be pretty pissed if I just cleaned the house and it was see, the problem is it was a surprise, right? Like, if they had communicated, then it's like, okay, fine. We expect people to come by. Great. You recognize that like, oh, it's gonna get dirty. But the problem is it was a surprise. But the problem with the surprise is it's a gift, right? Like it was good intention, technically. So like the surprise was like supposed to be good. It just didn't have a good outcome.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, personally, I would be furious if my husband did that. But again, like it's about communication and setting expectations, right? If we're both said, hey, no gifts, then no gifts. That
Mhm.
includes no surprise. And especially not a surprise that requires me to have more work. I mean, it's a
Right.
sweet thought. Serenade is cute, although we'll see. Yeah, depends. But yeah, it's like the intention, what you said is the intention was sweet and there, but then the outcome and the impact was
Right.
definitely not what he probably wanted and what she absolutely didn't want. And if I guess it also depends, how long are they married, right? Like how well do you know your significant other?
Well, because here's the thing. Not I don't want to defend him because I agree she is upset and she should be upset because I probably will be too. But you know how some couples can be. I sometimes can be guilty of this too. I feel like you agree we're not going to do anything. We're not going to, give each other anything. And then, like, by the end of the day, if you didn't get something, I've known people who then will be upset that, like, oh, her husband didn't go out of the way or her boyfriend didn't, like treat
Mhm.
her a certain way, even though they probably talked about it. So, like, Valentine's Day is one of those odd things where you probably agree on certain things. Like, there is an expectation, but then sometimes the real expectation it's different from what you agreed upon. Do you know what I'm saying? Like
Yes.
you say, okay, no flowers, but then you still kind of wish you did get flowers as a woman, at least for me. So I feel like, and I feel like my husband, we've definitely had situations like this. So maybe I'm the toxic one where, where I'm like, no, don't worry. We're going to celebrate it another day. But then on the day of, he's going to come home with flowers and I'm still going to be like, oh my gosh, like, so
Yeah.
it's one of those weird things where the expectation you set could be slightly different from the expectation you anticipate. So, like, is he actually just trying to fulfill this additional expectation of Valentine's Day
Yeah.
by doing the serenade? But maybe like let's just keep it at the serenade. Let's like not invite people
Yes, that was my
over.
actually, yes, thank you for bringing. I was like, how can we just end it there? That would have been
Right.
so sweet.
Because she, even in her description, she was like, oh, all the dads were singing, which I think is so great. Like, go sing to all the wives because they all know each other anyway. So this is like not weird. So sing to all the wives and then be done. Like, I feel like
Mhm.
where she's frustrated, because she even said, oh, it's really cute. Like, it was cute that the serenade happened.
Yeah,
But I think like what she is mad about is he invited other people over and it created more work for her.
that's where I got.
Right.
Yeah. Mhm.
So I think like we have to separate the two. The
Yeah,
serenade is great because the serenade did not create more work. And she was a little bit annoyed that he wasn't home to like make dinner and spend time with the family. But once she realizes that it was the serenade, she understood. But
correct.
it's inviting people over and creating a mess.
Totally. And like Jane, you and I mean, I'm more of an introvert and I sometimes when I feel like I'm mentally done for the night, like I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
The worst you could do to me is invite a bunch of people over if I'm not prepared. And maybe I can work on being more flexible that way, right? But if my partner did that to me, even if the thought is cute, I think you have to know your partner better than that.
Right. Right. Because it is creating more work for her. And so like she does deserve to be upset about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like she is right to be mad about the making a mess and inviting people over. But maybe what she can do is she can just talk to him after instead of being mad. She can talk to him after and say, "Hey, I feel like this I just cleaned the home. You I feel like it's lovely that the kids had a great time and the serenade was super sweet, but this created more work for me and like I just finished cleaning and also like to your point earlier that like once I'm in my PJs or once I'm done with the day, like I would really appreciate it if we don't spontaneously invite friends,
Yeah.
even though the kids are having a good time. But
Yeah. I think
it's a lot of work for
they
me.
should sit down and have that conversation.
Yeah. We solved it again.
Wow, 2 for 2.
2 for 2. All right. Are we ready to go to the next one?
Yes.
All right. So the title is Am I an A-hole for refusing to help my former boss? Okay. Given the nature of my work, I have to work in different teams. Currently, I am in a wonderful one where everybody is decent and cooperative. This was not the case with my last team. The former team members were non-cooperative, and one of them behaved with us female employees in a derogatory manner. I do believe that my former boss is a good person, but she was indifferent to what was happening as long as she had what she wanted. Things got bad pretty quickly, so much that my boss believed my colleagues when they painted a picture of me being incompetent to her and discontinued my contract. I was extremely lucky because right after I was terminated, my current team took me in. Truth be told, I was depressed over this whole thing for a long time, but with support from my family, friends, and having much better team members, I have finally put that past behind. However, the past somehow has a way of coming back. A few weeks ago, my former boss approached me uh, to see if I could help her with a report. I no longer feel the need to respect her wishes or help her. And secondly, this is a huge report that will take away a significant portion of my time. This means I will have to work after hours for nothing but to maintain goodwill. Honestly, I have no wish to be in her good books anymore, and so tactfully avoided it. Then she began to invite me to meetings along with others, which is related to this report. I did not attend any of them. Finally, she approached my supervisor asking if she could have my assistance. This time, I politely and clearly said no. Of course, nobody said anything to me at the office, but my parents said I should have helped my former boss. They didn't exactly call me an a-hole, but in their eyes, it was stupid of me to be so brazen and to ruin any possible scope of work or collaboration with my former boss. So, is she the idiot or is she the a-hole? What do you think?
Yeah, this is a tricky one. I really can see both sides there, but I think it depends on a few things. Like my first reaction was, well, she should set firm boundaries in terms of
Mm-hmm.
no, I can't do this because it sounds like it was a lot of work, and not just saying I can't do this, but like also explaining sort of her new remit and what she's responsible for and how this really interferes with her current workload, right? Because like if she's focused on her current stuff, like how is she
Mm-hmm.
at some point there's something's got to give, right? But then the other piece I was wondering about, this old boss sounds like she's still very influential. So
Mm-hmm.
like does the old boss still have a lot of influence and in terms of like future wise, like if she's going to continue to be in her good graces, maybe that could
Mm-hmm.
open up other opportunities down the line, so she doesn't want to burn bridges. So that was I'm still wrestling with the two here.
Right. Because I think it's tough. And honestly, like in addition to that, those questions, one of the questions I had was, is she the only one who knows the work to be able to do it? Right. Like, because she used to be on that team. So is it like a project that she used to do that then was dropped when her contract was ended and maybe nobody else has that like technical knowledge or whatever. We don't know her work, right? So we don't know. But then, you know, why do they terminate your contract if you're the only one who can do this work? Right? Like,
Exactly.
so maybe it's not like it must be this person kind of a thing. I wonder if she can like go back to the previous boss and say, like, this is not a part of my current contract or my current scope, but if I'm the only person who can do this, then like I can train somebody on your team, or I
Yeah,
can
can
give
she
you the
maybe
old,
mentor someone and
I
have
can
them?
mentor, I
Yeah.
can give you old resources that like I worked on that can help build this report. I
Yeah.
don't know. Like, I guess the question is like, is she the SME on this particular topic, this report? Or the other question could be like, did they backfill her role? Like, is there somebody else who's actually supposed to do this job? Because if there is, like, you should not be doing this.
Yeah,
That other person should.
totally. And yes, I love when you said, like, why did they even terminate the contract? Yeah, they terminated the contract. So that work is over, right? And
Right.
so what if she had left the company? I think it's really to me, this sounds like just a convenient game playing on the old boss's side. In terms of, oh, I'm kind of too lazy, not to put words in her mouth, to train someone here or to like find, let me just go back to that girl that did it. And I know she's still here. And she was
Right.
kind of like, she was nice. So I'm sure she'll do it. I think it's something
Right.
like that.
And I'm just scanning through the comments here. Like 99% of the people are saying that she is not the a-hole here, which I think we both agree that she
Yeah.
is not. She should
Yeah.
not be like by default doing this job. I think the interesting thing that some people have posed is like, is this person actually like, will this actually ruin your career? So will this person be vengeful or like be hateful that you didn't do it? Because I think honestly, like in theory, I 100% agree that she's doing the right thing. She should not be doing this thing. But I'm trying to think about it in a very realistic, like, what would I do if a previous boss was difficult and or she's saying like this previous boss is fine, but the previous boss was complacent in a lot of the bullying or the unfairness that was happening at work. So not the best boss, but maybe not the worst. Maybe the boss was not seeing some of the drama that was happening, right? Whatever. So she's fine, but it's like, if I was in that situation, I feel like my default is like, I would try to help as much as I can, because like
Yeah.
there's this pressure at work of like trying to be collaborative, especially knowing that that person, like to your point, that person has influence, that person is your boss. Like, I feel like, at least from my experience, a lot of times like burning bridges is not always the best thing to do in your career. You can kind of avoid them, but you don't want to burn that bridge.
Right. And I think therefore, meeting in the middle, right? Meeting somewhere, making compromises around, what if it's giving an hour of your time to walk them through how to do it or something like that? Like at least coming forward in terms of a compromise, but not agreeing to do this whole thing. But I'm like you, where yes, I wanna be able to be in good graces, because who knows, down the line I may need them again. But at least that way I'm standing my ground, I'm setting my boundary. I can say this is what I'm doing, but then I can't commit to the whole.
I think one last thing to mention too, because I'm just thinking about experiences that I've had. I've had projects where I've like delivered something, right? Then that thing is associated with my name. Now I'm no longer, this like literally happened a couple weeks ago, where I'm no longer on that project, but then that deliverable that I delivered previously was out of date and somebody needed to update it. And I'm the only person who led that project, or who knows enough and have my name on it to update something that is no longer a part of my current job. And I did it. And granted, I didn't have a bad experience on that team. I had a wonderful experience. I had good teammates, but just like very tactically, there was no other person on that team who would have been the right person to update this. And so I did it. And it's like, it's not ideal because I was a little bit mad that like I have to do something that is out of my current job now.
Yeah.
But it's like, are you the right person, right, to do this thing? And but I also think, okay, here's one last thing. I keep saying one last thing, but here's one last thing. Is she's on a contract, which is also different than I think a full-time job or of a like FTE type of job.
Mhm.
Because if you are like on a contract, I feel like your scope is a bit more controlled. You can say like this is not in my scope.
Yeah.
Whereas if you are not like a contract-based employee, you kind of have to like do a lot of these random, I don't know, maybe that's the wrong perspective,
I think honestly, yeah, we're you
right?
and I having trouble setting the right boundaries. Because when I left at my old
Yeah.
company, I left one team to go to another, and that old team was still reaching out to me out of convenience. It was sheer convenience. If I
Right.
had left the company, that would have been it. My job could have been done by someone else. Like, sure, there might have been some
Right.
initial, like some onboarding, and yeah, and like, oh, we maybe need to look at a little bit deeper into those resources to find it. But otherwise, it was just sheer convenience. Oh, she's
Right.
still in the company, so I believe this girl is not an a-hole. Like, yeah, like we said, and she should just maybe offer to meet them in the middle, but not commit to them.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed.
All right, Jane, are you ready for our last one?
I'm ready.
We saved the juiciest for last.
Truly. All right, let's
So
go.
I feel like a lot of girls ask this question,
Yeah.
but basically, when you are in a relationship, a lot of times guys follow other girls on Instagram or look at other girls' Instagram's accounts
Hmm.
when you're in a relationship. And so this girl says that she feels extremely insecure. She hasn't yet talked about this with her boyfriend. She doesn't really know how to deal with it or how to react. So basically, she wants some advice on. So she feels insecure when he follows, especially hot girls, on social media. And then there's some comments that this has happened to, wow, thousands of people.
Hmm.
And it was like mostly 90% underwear models, big booties, all of that. And some girls did approach their partner, and some of the boyfriends got like really aggressive, and they went to even to the extreme to break up with them. I
Oh,
think,
wow.
yeah. So for some, it's like no compromise, no relationship. But also, I think some guys might think it infringes on their privacy. Like, you let me do what I want to
Mm.
do. So I would love to hear your perspective, but I think it comes down to like, yeah, what's your intent? But yeah, what are your initial thoughts?
Oh, this is really tough. I mean, when we initially like looked at this question, I think my biggest thing is what is the intent behind it? Because like I follow male celebrities. I follow like people who are very attractive on Instagram, but the intention is not to like date them or like seek out relationships with them or like hook up or whatever, right? Like I think honestly a big part of it is the intention. I
Mm,
think because I'm trying to think about it from like an equal perspective because a lot of women also follow attractive men, whether they're celebrity or whatever, right? Like and so I think it's tough because a lot of these, I suspect a lot of the um comments are from women where they feel insecure. And I honestly I don't know. Like I never went through my partner's Instagram to see who he follows, but I also think I'm in a bit more of a secure relationship where I like recognize that you can follow people, but like
yeah,
I'm your partner and like you
right.
chose me as your partner. And so there's no intention to like do that, but I guess
Yeah,
it's not guaranteed, right? So I don't know.
yeah. No, I'm, and as well, my perspective is that, first of all, I think through the bench, 100% of my ex-boyfriends have followed a lot of women on
Mhm.
Instagram, and mostly half naked and all that. But I also I then went as far as like, okay, talking to my girlfriends, like, is this something that your partner does? Like, is something you're bothered by? And they all agreed, like, yeah, they do it, but I trust them fully. Like, again, it's about what are they trying to do with that, right? If it's just like looking at the picture and that's it, or are you trying to get any sort of validation? Like, are they sliding into those girls' DMs? I do believe following is different than liking a picture. Like, if you like someone's picture,
the intention changes.
right? Like, what are you trying to do there? Like, what's your,
okay,
like, for a girl that you've never met, you may not ever meet.
Right. That's my question. That's honestly my question is the people that this person is following or the guy is following, are they people in his circle where he could have a relationship with them, or are they celebrities that he can never ever, even if he met them, the celebrity wouldn't even want to be with them, right?
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? But
Yeah,
like,
that's a good
or
point.
is it people that are in his life to some degree, or in his city, or something where it's kind of tangible, where he could slide into their DM and something could happen? That's where it gets really tricky, because those type of women could also be in his life. There's more likelihood that they will be in his life more, right? Because his friends, his coworker, he probably follows them. But what is the intention there? But they're also more likely to have some sort of an affair or whatever. So I don't know. Like, that's really, really tough.
Yeah, I think to this girl's question though, if she's feeling insecure about bringing it up, I think that there's something deeper going on in that relationship. So I think she should feel at least secure to have that conversation, to bring it up to him and come from a place of vulnerability on like why this is making her feel insecure. Because she, if to your point, she does see a lot of the girls that live in their city, and he has like, he could potentially reach these girls, or he sees them at the grocery store but never talk to them. I also believe if you should follow the people that you would say hi to at least at the grocery store. If you don't say, like, if you can't say hi to them, like, why are you following them?
Right.
And
yeah, I think it's really tough, because I feel like if you were in a more secure relationship, this wouldn't be a problem. But I can see how this can escalate a problem if you already have issues or some sort of insecurity. Okay, but that said, like, is the expectation that the girl would also, like, what is she asking of him? Is she saying you need to unfollow every other woman? You need to unfollow all the really hot women? Like, who's to decide? So, like, for a lot of the guys to freak out, I kind of get, right? Because it is very insecure behavior to like be like, no, you cannot follow anybody. But at the same time, I understand where the insecurity is coming from. Like, their boyfriend or husbands did not create enough security for them that they feel that way, right?
that's such a good point. Yeah, I agree, because I would never forbid anyone to do this. Like,
Right.
you do you, but as long as we're secure, like, we're good.
Right.
But the issue is, to your point, there's already some insecurities from this relationship that have nothing to do with social media, and it's being exacerbated by social media.
Right.
But yeah, the answer I don't think is for them to unfollow or anything. But I like
Yeah.
how you said they should at least go out of their way to make their partner feel more secure, and not having to worry about that. But also, if it
Yeah.
does bother you to the point that you can't eat and you can't sleep anymore, and continue to stalk his behavior, then I just think it's not your match.
Right. God, if you have to stalk him, that
Oh,
something different is going on in that relationship, you know? Like, because also I think the tough part is like, you can follow somebody but as the girlfriend, how do you know if this person is messaging that person, right? Because we talked about the difference between like following somebody versus like a different intent of liking or DMing or like taking a very proactive action. Honestly, liking is also very tough. Like, liking is one of those things where I don't know where's the line with that. Like,
yeah.
if it's a friend who, I don't know, got a new dog, like, do you not like that? So I don't know, but I guess she's saying like really attractive women who are probably posting thirst traps.
Yeah, I think that's what she's coming from. Because when you said earlier, or you follow attractive men, like I don't follow a lot of attractive men, to be honest. I follow a lot of inspirational men, like Jay Shetty. Like, okay, back to the grocery analogy. If I saw Jay Shetty on the street, like I would want to talk to him because I feel like I like his content. Versus if it's just some hot ass model, I would like, what would I do there? Like, okay. And yes, sure. Yes, I do follow some attractive men, but I think it's also the ratio of what's the ratio of those thirst trap girls to your other following.
Right. Because if it's celebrities, like, let's all agree that your boyfriend or husband ain't gonna get a celebrity. Like, no matter how many times this person's gonna DM the celebrity, it just probably is not gonna happen. Okay, so don't worry about that.
Yeah.
But if it's a local, see, that's why I think the proximity is really important. Like,
and I think that's the issue in this one here. She's probably not talking about all these celebrities. She couldn't care less probably about those.
Right. Because that we don't have any insecurity around.
Right. It's about the gray zone. Those, those like,
oh gosh.
Yeah.
But it's like, I mean, okay, so what's our recommendation then? Like, what is this woman supposed to say to him?
I think just, again, coming from a place of, listen, like this has made me feel insecure. Maybe bring up some past insecurities, like how in the past this maybe led to, like in her ex-boyfriend or whoever, maybe he did that and he made her feel very insecure in general. And so just seeing that pattern triggered some old feelings. But she should also lead with, you make me feel, if that's the case. If he does make her feel very secure, I would lead with like, you are making me feel very secure. However, this behavior is triggering some old insecurities of mine. Not to accuse you of anything. I just want to understand sort of what is your intention behind following.
Right.
So
yeah, I think you're right. I think this person or whoever these people are probably should look at their relationship and see what the problem is. Is it that he is not making her feel secure, or she feels secure? So to your point, the conversation probably looks different, because if you're insecure, this is probably just one symptom of it. Like, this is one of the many probably issues that are creating this insecurity.
Yeah.
So solving this doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to solve the insecurity, because he could have intentions with girls through other ways that are not social media. Could be at work, could be hanging out at parties, whatever, right? Like, that's also going to create insecurity. But if you are secure in the relationship, or you don't think your partner's having any issues or having any intentions, it's just the fact that he follows these people that bothers you.
Yeah.
Exactly, to her point, I think then the conversation is more of, hey, this brings up bad memories of previous bad relationships or whatever. Like, I still feel really secure with you. I understand you're not doing this because of this intention, but it does make me sometimes get frustrated, or it makes you feel.
Yeah.
But I think it depends.
Yeah, it depends. But I have one personal example where one of my exes, when I was very young, early 20s, I found out through Instagram that he had another girlfriend in another city. So to me, Instagram is like, brings up different triggers, but that's a me issue, right? I can now be in a secure relationship where, yes, I see some of the girls he's following, but what my insecurity is just coming from my past. And therefore, that's a conversation where I need to really lead with, hey, you're making me feel secure. However, this just from my past, I just want to share with you that this happened. And so therefore I get a little insecure, but I'm working on that, et cetera, et cetera. But if your partner's not even making you feel secure regardless, then that's a whole other.
Yeah, I think you got to be a little sympathetic, because you don't know what the intention is. I think that's the problem, is there's no good way to figure that out. You don't know if he's DMing, like, literally, unless you look at their phone or you log into their account, you would have no idea, like, if they're actually taking action on a lot of these things. But I think it's trying to be really sympathetic, being understanding if you still feel secure with your partner. And maybe it's like, maybe it's letting them decide what they're going to do about it.
Mhm.
Or because I'm trying to think, like, if you let them decide, because you've expressed that it's not creating security for you, or it is triggering you, then if your partner like cares about you, then they probably or they should feel comfortable removing certain people from their account,
Yeah.
right? So that's number one. Or number two is you say like, hey, like I also follow XYZ people. Like, what if we both agree to do this thing for each other? Like, we both
Mm.
remove people from our accounts. Like, right? Like, I feel like that's a bit more palatable than accusing someone. Because I think a lot of the, like, we're reading through the comments, a lot of people obviously confront their partner and their partner is really defensive. And
Yeah, I think the answer is not to tell them what to do, because if they're going to
right,
cheat, they're going to cheat regardless, not
right,
because of social media. So
exactly. Yeah. I think we've solved it yet again.
great chat.
Oh, well, this was so much fun, Sabrina. Maybe we should do this all the time. Just solving people's problems left and right.
We have been linked
Well,
on Reddit. Mhm.
well, thanks everybody for listening. We hope you had a wonderful time in this episode. And we hope you enjoyed this entire season. Of course, like we mentioned in every single episode, we want to hear from you. You're welcome to email us at whereisthelinepod@gmail.com. Let us know if you have topic ideas, if you have thoughts on any of the topics that we've covered so far. And of course, we always recommend subscribing on whatever platform that you follow us at, because we already have so many exciting ideas planned for season 3. So we hope you'll join us on this journey.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Bye.
Bye.